After a couple of good game weeks in a row, I've finally broken into the top 100k. And here is my team selection ahead of game week 25. So looking at the goalkeeper and defenders up first then, I've got Martinez in goal, Udogie, Saliba and Pedro Porro as my back four. Looking at game week 25 in isolation, I'm not too worried about this lineup, to be honest. I think Martinez could do quite well against Fulham, although I'm a little bit worried with the injuries that Villa have picked up. Boubacar Kamara, their centre defensive mid, and I'm pretty sure Diego Carlos has picked up a hamstring injury. Kamara being out for the season with he's done his ACL basically. So I'm a little bit worried about Villa defensively. Yeah, Fulham don't look that great though themselves, so hopefully we get some points from Martinez. Udogie and Porro, Tottenham they've not lit the world up defensively recently, right? So I am a little bit concerned about their chances of keeping a clean sheet, especially with Wolves having Hwang and Neto in their team. But going forwards, their attacking output seems to be really good, so they're not the worst two, I don't think, to play in game week 25. And then Saliba as my other defender. Really happy with him. I know none of these guys have a double game week, and I'm a little bit unsure. Well, I could obviously bring in a Man City player, but I don't see them starting both games. I don't see any Man City defender definitely starting both games of the double. I could go for Virgil van Dijk of Liverpool, but with him as well, yes, I see him starting both games of the double, but Liverpool, they are conceding goals, and I'm not sure Van Dijk has much goal threat, and he blanks in game week 26, so I don't think any of the double game week assets really appeal to me. Saliba I'm quite happy with. I think he's got a good chance of scoring from a set piece. We saw in game week 24 just how good Arsenal are from set pieces. I think they've scored 14, 15 or 16 goals, something like that, from set pieces this season. So I've got no worries about him as an option. In fact, I think I'm really going to look at buying Gabriel for one of the Tottenham defenders. I think similar to Saliba, he's nailed to start for Arsenal. That's, of course, unlike the doubling Man City defenders. He doesn't blank in game week 26, although he does have a relatively tough fixture against Newcastle. He actually has, in my opinion, slightly better goal threat from set pieces than Saliba does. And Arsenal are great at set pieces themselves. And Arsenal, they are the best defence in the league for expected goals conceded. They've got the lowest expected goals conceded of anyone. It's less than 1 per game. So when you look at the fixtures they've got coming up, I could see them keeping 3 or 4 clean sheets feasibly in their next 5 fixtures. And also, I just wanted to look at the clean sheet odds according to DraftHound, right? So I've spoken about the Man City and Liverpool defenders already. The other teams that double, Luton and Brentford. Yes, I guess Luton defenders could be quite attractive because they have a double coming up in game week 28. But their clean sheet odds for 25 and the fact they blank in game week 26, it just puts me off them. They've got an 18% chance of keeping a clean sheet in their first game and an 8% chance in their second. Brentford are 13 and 8 as well. So with all that in mind, I think I'm quite happy with this defence, and the only player I'd consider bringing in is Gabriel. On to the midfield then, I've got Foden, Jota, Saka and Bowen. I think in isolation, these 4 are decent for game week 25, although I do think I could squeeze in an extra double game week player. I'll just talk about the players I've got first though. Foden, I think he's probably the best Man City midfielder you can go for the upside of minutes and points. I think when you think about minutes, Rodri is the top player for minutes. I think he'll play 90 minutes in both games of the double. And Foden's a close second. I'm not sure he's going to get 90 in both games of the double, but I think of all of the rest of the Man City mids, he's probably the most nailed. And when you compare him to Kevin De Bruyne, who I'm going to talk about in a second, I think his returns are weighted slightly more towards goals. And for that reason, I think he could outscore Kevin De Bruyne over the double game week. So obviously quite happy with Foden. Jota, he's my favourite of the Liverpool midfielders. I do doubt his minutes a little bit given Salah's back in training. I mean, Salah and Jota both, I think, are going to play on the right wing, so they'll be competing for each other's minutes. But I do think Jota will get enough minutes over the double and hopefully enough points to justify picking him. I still think he's probably the strongest Liverpool midfielder you can go for right now. Saka, I mean, he's in really good form. Arsenal playing well. Don't see any reason to sell him, particularly with Burnley as his fixture. And Jared Bowen, I don't see a lot of output from him, recently, but he's got good fixtures coming up and he plays next week. And I'm quite happy to start him against Forest. I think if there was any game for him, one of the few fixtures in the league, I think, where pretty much he could score in, in any minute. I think Forest is the one, right? It's quite an easy fixture, certainly from a defensive perspective. So got a bit of confidence in Bowen. The one player, as I said, I'm going to talk about, and the one player I could bring in is Kevin De Bruyne. He's obviously one of Man City's most important players. Doesn't blank in Game Week 26. They're likely to double later on in the season again. The numbers he's putting up are really nice for the minutes he's playing. And with the injuries that Man City have in their midfield at the moment, Grealish and Bernardo, I believe, are both injured. Kovacic, I think, is just coming back. There's quite a few injuries, basically, in the City midfield, which makes me think Kevin De Bruyne's minutes are going to be slightly better than if the whole squad was fit. But if you look at the amount I have in the bank, I've got 0.3 million in the bank in these four in midfield. I just don't see a way I can get him in, particularly with just one free transfer. So I'm just going to have to go into this game week with the four I have. I say just. I think the four I have are decent, and that's how I'm going to line up. Up front then, I've gone for Haaland, Darwin Núñez and Watkins. And you can see there, I'm going to play my triple captainship on Erling Haaland this week. I think the whole narrative in FPL is that there are a couple of opportunities to use it, right? You can use it in Game Week 25, obviously to triple captain Erling Haaland, or there's an opportunity to use it in Game Week 28 on potentially Solanke, who has Luton and Sheffield United at home, right? Also, yeah, of course, you could use it on a Liverpool asset in Game Week 25 as well. But I just think with what he proved he could do last season with his minutes, Pep played Haaland in every single game he was fit for in the Premier League last season, apart from the end when they had the title wrapped up, right? For all that reason, I think he's as guaranteed as it can get for him to get minutes in Game Week 25. And I think the triple captainship, if there's an easy, seeable opportunity to play it, I think you should. We've got some time between now and when Solanke has his double in Game Week 28. The last thing I want to happen is I hold on, I don't use my triple captain this week, I get to Game Week 28 and Solanke's injured, and then I don't have a clear opportunity to use it. So I think, well, I don't need to play another chit right now. I don't need to use my wildcard, free hit or bench boost. The triple captain is open. Haaland's got a double game week. Brentford and Chelsea, two decent fixtures where he could quite easily score. I mean, look at those expected points. Basically 8 expected points in each game. Absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to think twice. I'm going to use the triple captain on him. So here's the team as a whole then. 130.7 expected points according to DraftHound. If you want to input your own team into a tool like this, you can find my link to sign up for DraftHound in the description. Click on that and you can access the DraftHound website and get a view like this of your team. The one sort of issue I have really, and the kind of headache, is Martinez v Dubravka in goal. Now, had Villa been a fully fit team, the decision is easy. I'm going to start Martinez. But Dubravka, Newcastle, they're obviously not great defensively on recent record, but they've got Bournemouth at home. They could probably, I think they could keep a clean sheet against pretty much anyone at St James's Park, right? I just think he's a nice option to start. And the thing that's kind of put me off is the DraftHound expected points at the moment. If I get those out of my head and just think, in my mind, who is most likely to keep a clean sheet this week? Probably Dubravka. So I might end up changing my goalkeeper. That's the only real close decision. Obviously, it's hard to leave Cole Palmer on my bench, but given he's got Man City, the second best defence in the league for expected goals conceded, and Jarrod Bowen, who I still think is really good going forwards, he's got Nottingham Forest. I think I have to start Bowen over Palmer, but things might change. You'll have to check out my deadline stream on Saturday morning to find out exactly what I do there. Botman, he's a decent option this week, but I just can't justify starting him over my Tottenham defenders. Although being doubled up on Tottenham with the goals they're conceding at the moment does make me a little bit nervous. However, I feel if I do buy Gabriel, which I'm still undecided on, at the moment I'm going to roll the transfer just because I think my defence is good enough. And the last thing I want to do is spend a transfer on Gabriel for him to get injured in Game Week 25 and then not be available for 26. That puts me in a real hole. And I think just holding onto my transfers, sitting on my hands for this week will probably pay dividends because ultimately I don't think there's going to be a whole lot between those Tottenham defenders and Gabriel, right? There might be a case of 3 or 4 points in it. I think Gabriel might keep a clean sheet and that's really only the points he's going to score. So yeah, close one on starting Botman and the Tottenham defenders. Right now I'm thinking not bringing in Gabriel and starting the 2 Tottenham players, and the rest of the team sort of speaks for itself. The one player I've got my fingers crossed on, Charlie Taylor, is back in training for Burnley. He plays in Game Week 26, and he's going to be essential for me not taking a hit and fielding a team of 11, basically. Crystal Palace is a nice fixture, considering the amount of good attacking players that Palace have injured at the moment. So fingers crossed Charlie Taylor is fit. Let me know in the comments if you've got Charlie Taylor and are saying your prayers as well. All right, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do with my team. You know, your opinion might be different to mine. I'd be interested to hear it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating, subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there, and I'll see you in my next video.